Drake Goodman and Patty Palmer, a young couple full of hopes and dreams of a better life, decide to buy their dream home. It is an old Victorian building in San Francisco's prestigious Pacific Heights neighborhood. They see in it not only a cozy place to live, but also an opportunity to invest in the future, to rent out 2 flats on the ground floor and live without worrying about financial difficulties. The house, despite its age, charms them with its atmosphere. Its high ceilings, wide staircases, and interior details reminiscent of bygone eras seem to them the perfect embodiment of family coziness. Immediately after the purchase, they begin renovations. The house requires a lot of attention, but the couple enthusiastically takes on the job. Their efforts are justified when the first tenants, the Japanese couple Watanabe, move into one of the flats. These people are friendly, quiet, neat, and Patty and Drake are sure they have found the perfect tenants. One more flat remains to be rented out so that their plan can begin to turn a profit. A short time later, Carter Hayes shows up. At first glance, he gives the impression of a successful and wealthy man. He arrives in a shiny Porsche, dresses tastefully, and carries himself with confidence. His charm is appealing and his manner of speaking is trustworthy. He declares that he wants to rent a flat and is immediately ready to discuss the terms. However, when it comes to a credit check, Carter evades, offering to pay a large sum of cash up front. Patty is alarmed by the situation, but Drake, inspired by Hayes' apparent wealth, persuades her to accept. It seems to him that such a tenant is a godsend. Carter moves in, but his behavior quickly begins to raise questions. First, he delays payment, and then he stops contacting her altogether. He doesn't answer calls or notes, and his flat door is locked. One day, Drake tries to get in, but discovers that the locks have been changed. Carter has completely barricaded himself in the flat and ignores all attempts to contact him. Patty and Drake begin to panic. They realize that Carter is not only breaking the contract, but is deliberately ignoring them to take advantage of the situation. Attempts to call the police are frustrating. By law, it is not easy to evict a tenant, even if he doesn't pay rent. In the eyes of the law, Carter is still a legitimate tenant. This knowledge spurs Carter to take further action. He becomes increasingly cocky, provoking the couple with his behavior. He begins destroying the flat from the inside. Sounds of drilling, banging, and loud noises fill the house. Complaints from Watanabe and the neighbors become regular, but Carter only seems to enjoy it. Patty, feeling increasingly vulnerable, tries to keep her composure. She spends a lot of time thinking about how it all started and blames herself for not insisting on checking Hayes' credit history. Her fears are heightened when Carter starts acting openly threatening. He's often at her side, looking at her with long, hard stares, as if he's trying to show his superiority. Drake, on the contrary, becomes increasingly irritable. He feels responsible for what's happening. After all, he's the one who insisted on letting Carter in. The desire to protect the house and his partner pushes him to rash actions. One day, Drake loses his patience and tries to force Carter out. He bangs on the door, demanding that he leave, and even threatens to call the police. But Carter meets him with derision. He calls the police first, accusing Drake of assault. This comes as a shock to Patty and Drake. Now they are not only helpless, but also become a target for attacks from Hayes. Meanwhile, Carter begins a real psychological game. He forges documents, making it look like he has rights to the flat. He turns the neighbors against Drake and Patty through manipulation and deception. Watanabe, seeing all this chaos, decides to move out. The house becomes empty, gloomy, and more like a place of conflict rather than a cozy home. Drake and Patty are left alone, feeling their dream crumbling before their eyes. Carter continues to add fuel to the fire. He infiltrates the couple's private life, learns their weaknesses, and uses them against them. Patty becomes increasingly withdrawn, haunted by nightmares and feelings of helplessness. Drake, in turn, begins to search for information about Hayes. He discovers that this is not the first time Carter has pulled a scheme like this. He is a professional conman who uses the laws in his favor, destroying the lives of those who fall victim to him. The couple decides to fight back. They begin to gather evidence against Hayes, photographing the destruction, recording threats and conversations. Drake finds previous victims of Hayes who corroborate his methods. With the help of these men, He begins to build a case against the con artist. However, Carter is not about to give up without a fight. He threatens Drake, saying that he will destroy them if they try to act against him. His words are accompanied by a frightening confidence, as if he already knows he will win. The climax comes when Patty and Drake, having gathered enough evidence, decide to take the decisive step. They hire a lawyer and sue Carter. The trial becomes a real battlefield, with each side trying to prove their case. Carter feels he's losing control and starts making mistakes. His manipulations and forgeries come to light, destroying his image as a confident professional. Patty and Drake, on the other hand, show their cohesion and determination. They present a united front, fighting not only for their home, but also for justice. The finale becomes a victory for the couple. Carter is forced to leave the house and the court finds him guilty of fraud. Although the struggle has left its mark on Patty and Drake's lives, they feel that they have become stronger. Their home, which has been through so much hardship, is once again becoming a place where they can be happy. Patty and Drake learn to appreciate each other even more as they realize that together they can overcome any challenge.